Hello everyone. It's me, Chef Commander Coffee. I'm here with another one of my tutorials for a classical era civilization. Oh yes, you might remember this particular map. This is from my most recent Neolithic update video, and I thought, you know what, I can actually just do a tutorial straight off of this. I can play as either Egypt or the Hittites, one or the other, doesn't really matter which. Because those are the two I've got left to do. Now, I was thinking about which one I want to show off today on this particular map, and I think on this map, the Hittites would be best. Having a nice mass of scouts to work with is very useful for the Hittites, because that extra combat strength does add up. Try and get these scouts together. Right, we can get our city set up now. There's our first one, and there's our second one. Let's get those Potter's workshops set up. Set up our expert policy. We want to go science, industry, and gold. And same in NASA there. Go burn down that lair. I'm going to go with faith on the main plaza because we have quite a few. Because we have two cities, so we're obviously going to get more faith from that. Alright, so we're bordering a couple of people. Mycenaeans, okay. And we're also bordering the Harappans. Both want to trade, probably because I have nice large stacks of scouts. And the AI is going to be a little bit wary of that. Alright, could go hunt a couple of mammoths on the way back. Get these guys healed up. There we go, not too bad. Can hunt those mammoths pretty easily with a stack of this size. Right, tech-wise, you can kind of go with what you want with the Hittites. You still want to go for the basic stuff. Carpentry is obviously always a great one, especially with the extra strength on the archers. Calendar to get your luxes, domestication. I like to tend to go for these three, followed by bronze working, then straight for wheel before organized warfare. Because the sooner you can get those gigas out, the better. They're very powerful, unique units. And you can kind of bully people without needing organized warfare if you can get a good stack of those rolling around the map. Okay, now you want to be aggressive with militarist civilizations, generally speaking. The Hittites you can play more for infrastructure, and the best times to pick the Hittites, it doesn't matter if you age up early or late with the Hittites. You can age up very, very early, as soon as you're able to, out of Neolithic, or you can age up late once you've got the influence, you've got more scouts. They work in both situations, because if you build up your infrastructure with the Hittites, you can get more gigas out. So if you set up early and get gigas rolling sooner rather than later, that helps. Or the alternative, being to age up later, have more scouts, and bully the AI with scouts. And then set up your infrastructure whilst you're doing that. Now, it will obviously be up a little bit later, but you have that added bonus of being able to kind of focus more on earlier expansion, pinching other people's outposts, fighting their troops, getting military styles a bit faster, and then using the Gigas as more of an early classical era unit as opposed to a ancient era unit. Totally up to you. And the combat strength from the Hittites works for the entire game, so they're not like as good of a pick, but they're not map dependent as other civs that I put, or cultures I put in the B tier in my tier list. So they're not map dependent, which does give them a distinct advantage in that respect. Let's go pick up our 5 influence.
Let's keep it simple. We've been here. It's our place.
I'm going to have a couple of places I'll want to chop, probably down here, so let's get a few extra scouts in the south there. We'll send a stack of 4 that way. We'll send you up here, send you guys down here. Actually, send you towards the border. Okay, there's a Cyclopean fortress there. It's going to make movement a little bit more awkward. Not too bad though. Alright. Now the other thing we want to consider with the Hittites is getting a 3rd city. Because you are one of those cultures which can pick up a 3rd city through war relatively quickly.
That seems to leave a lot of interpretation of right and wrong, not to mention yours and mine.
Let's send you guys that way. You can fight that tribe again. They run away. Chill there. I can buy out the potters on their last turn of construction. Doesn't cost us that much gold. If we get lucky and pick up more okay, I can disband a scout into the city as well, just to get a little bit of extra science rolling. We'll have 6 scouts over here, is fine. Hattusa could do with getting a scout disbanded. Just disbanding a couple of those early scouts just to get your science started. Pretty helpful. And army composition. Now you get army composition pretty early in this era. Liberty doesn't help, because your emblematic district is an outpost. It's an outpost that collects all adjacent, so you can put it on. You can put the outpost on science tiles, and that will be helpful, or next to science tiles. You can put the outpost next to gold or luxes as well, and that will also help. So, for example, if I built it over here, it would actually collect the gold from those tiles too, which adds a couple of extra. That's not the main reason that the Awari is a good unique district, but it definitely helps. I think we'll just dogpile on that scout and or that tribe and kill them. Alright, so we killed 2 scouts there, we won the fight. Those guys will get healed up once we claim this tile. I'll claim this tile first, so we can start getting those guys healed up. Alright, there's calendar researched. Can start working on luxes. These are saffron, which are nice once I get some farmers' quarters built. Let's go throw down an outpost there. You guys are just going to heal up on the borders. You guys want to set up an outpost there as soon as you're able to. We'll spend some gold getting that protected. You 4 probably are going to want to set up. No, they're okay for now. They don't need to do any. I probably want to send someone to chop these out. These guys I want to keep over on this border just to be on the safe side. Because we are next to the Mycenaeans, which is a little scary at times. Less scary for the Hittites, but still worrying all the same. There's never a time when the Mycenaeans aren't worrying. Let's kill another deer, get a little bit more gold. Use that to pay off some of our debts. We've got a bear over there as well, so that's another 10 gold too. Just send like a couple of scouts that way, just to clean that layer up. Send these guys back there to go chop. You guys can heal up, you can just chill there. Just wait there. Okay, so we want to use our influence to hook up this incense and this salt before we hook up the outposts. Let's get the incense hooked up first before the salt. Salt would help us build our units up, but the incense is going to be more relevant, I think, long term. Get our gold income starting to roll in. Let's move this tribe over that way. You guys can get ready to chop, but not yet. I need to get Merzem hooked up first. You guys can go ransack that. You guys can go chop that. We'll take them 3 turns, which is fine. You guys wait there. There's an encampment here I'll need to go get rid of as well. Now, the main advantage of the Hittite outposts is that you can use them as garrison spawn points. So if you want to put an outpost on someone's border, so for example, say I put this outpost, I relocate it right up to the border, spawn units out of it, and then I can move it back. That is totally acceptable, though it's a little bit costly. It's only like 12. It's not like that expensive, but it is a little bit expensive to do that. It's not a bad idea, though, mind you. It's definitely not a terrible idea. See if the Harappans got anything to trade. Not yet. Do you have anything to trade? Not yet. Okay, that's fine. Probably going to go makers here, makers here, makers here. Probably a makers. No, I won't need one there. I'll just leave it there. You guys can go join up with them. Let's go send 1 scout up to the encampment there. You guys can skip. Go burn that sanctuary down, get that hooked up. And I'll have these guys come over there and fight that deer, why not? You guys can start moving towards this outpost, actually. Being attacked by some independents, which is fine. Now again, river is actually good. Even if you're having to fight high ground on a river, it's still better than not having a river. Okay, lost a scout there, that's fine. A little bit aggressive with how I fought that, but that's okay. It's not a huge deal. I'm going to try to be claiming more tiles before I attach. I would like to get some places attached up. So what we'll do is we'll get Enif attached first. I've got quite a lot of chops there that I would like to use, so yeah, we'll go attach. We'll get Enif attached. Get ourselves a lumberyard. Get a very nice maker's core here. or at least a pretty decent one. Let's move you over to that. Working on the artisans' quarters. Prefer you just work on another makers, honestly. Yeah, we can trade with the Olmecs. That's fine. They got anything to sell? They don't. Still don't have anything to sell. Still don't have anything to sell. So okay, that's fine. We don't need liberty. Again, that's not something we need. So we can go for superstitious. Not there's anything wrong going for liberty still, but we don't get emblematic quarters as the Hittites, so it's not as important to try to focus on picking liberty tenants and such up. These guys are going to build a city for me, which does change how I want to expand, because I can get my third city just by taking that. So what I'm going to do is we're going to leave one scout behind to go build this outpost, and these three are going to go and check this and grab that when that gets inevitably turned into an outpost. Merzam's going to build up Luxus first. The strategics can wait a little bit.
Greetings to the Nubians. Now there's some good fortune. A neighbor who may be more interested in commerce.
Right, there's our first builder star. Get those builder stars quickly just by hooking up Luxes. That's what I recommend. Should be able to take Huaracanga here. Yep, there you go. There's Huaracanga. Let's go set an expert policy. Definitely not a great spot for this this particular outpost or city, if I had to say so. Definitely not the best. I've got a couple of dead tiles here. I'll probably end up garrisoning those. Not sure what I want to build on this tile. Probably just build the. We got areas we can chop. There's probably a few areas we can chop. We'll work on the Luxes for now, since I'm not really sure what I want to do with our city just yet. Let's go forced laboured. You guys can start chopping this forest over there. You guys can get ready to chop this. I could attach this to Nasa instead of Hattusa, and then attach Chirski. Yeah, actually, that makes sense to me. So Nasa can attach Merzam, and now you guys can start chopping all this lovely forest down here for them. I did want to attach Hattusa because it would get this tile as well, but it's not a big deal when they'll get this tile instead. So if I build makers right there, I can chop this forest. I can chop here. Whoops, no. Chop that one. I think what we'll do is we'll put a farmer's district there. Let's buy out the artisans' quarter, get that obsidian hooked up. Try to just hook up as many tiles as we can. Get those builder stars nice and quick. Have our scouts be chopping things. We've got all the resources we need for our unique unit, so we can have our scouts worry about pushing our production up rather than fighting people, because we can just build our unique units for that. I do not like Knock being built there at all, really. That gives us our expansion star, but yeah, I do not want Knock, so that's going to have to get burned down. You actually need a potter's workshop, my bad. You guys can set that up. Oh, I'm going to be burning a turn's worth of influence by taking Knock there, so I do need to get this outpost set up. I do not like losing all that influence, but we did make sure that we kept the tile to ourselves, which is nice. There's wheel researched. Let's go grab fishing, masonry, irrigation, writing, sailing. We can start moving our people over to industry now. We don't need organized warfare. We can just build gigas, which is fine. We can actually start building gigas very soon. Just need to get this copper mine built, which won't cost me too much to do. I'll leave the forest on the strategic there, because that's a useful spot to have. Let's move one scout out that way. Oh really? You're gonna take that fight? Alright. Oh, they're runners, that's why. Yeah, runners love taking fights with scouts. There we go. Screw you, basically. Damn her happens. Right, you finished chopping that out? Yeah, you did. Excellent. Right, you join up with them and go chase down that chariot archer combo. You can normally beat a chariot archer with 4 scouts. All you have to do is get on top of the archer and kill the archer. Chariot's probably going to move up onto that tile. Yep. So this scout needs to back out. And he's going to go for the flag again. I could take that attack. I'll take that one. I lose the scout, but I do kill the chariot. I was going to lose the scout either way because we just took too much damage. Got a slightly unlucky roll there. Need to get this outpost hooked up sooner rather than later. Somebody else grabs that. What we got is a treaty. What are they offering? Non-aggression? Sure, that's fine having non-aggression with some of our neighbours. He's got coffee and incense. I'll buy the incense. Don't think I want to buy the coffee. Saffron and incense. Oh, I'll buy the incense. We've met the Nubians, which will want to trade. Olmecs don't have anything yet. It's fine. So making a lot of cash, so we should get our merchant stars pretty fast as well. It's also quite nice. So I'm building a makers there. I don't know if I want to build one there. Probably not. So I can start chopping all of this forest away. Just to pump our industry up a little bit faster. Can start chopping this away as well. You're going to go ransack that. You're going to go sit back up there. It's a lovely outpost for us. They even set up the obsidian for us. Non-aggression, sure, that's fine. That's fine. Fine for now, anyway. I'll need to build out a few farmers' quarters. I'll probably build one there. It's a good spot for a farmer's quarter. Once I get that saffron hooked up. You're still just chopping away. That's fine. You got that maker's set up. I get another maker's set up over here. Yeah, one there's fine. I might even put a... I definitely want farmers there. You know what, I'll put a farmers there as well. The saffron's going to make that particularly valuable, so... Alright, you guys join up. There's our merchant star. Right, you guys carry on just chopping away. We'll work on our Giga stack soon. I still want to Still want to focus on just infrastructure for now. Got 5 civics I can pick up. Army comp again, industry cost is the more relevant of the two because you don't have an emblematic, and that does make the gig gear a hell of a lot cheaper. It's only 126 for them now, which means you can normally end up two-turning them after a few makers quarters. Once you can two-turn the gig gears, that's kind of the spot you want to start building them. I think in NASA what we'll do is we'll build archers. Probably after we get the that artisan's quarter set up. We'll start building archers over there. We can start disbanding our troops. That I can chop actually, because that's not going to get used. So that can be chopped. And we're putting a farmer's quarter there anyway, so that helps a little bit. Hattusa can start building gigirs. And Huaracanga won't build anything. Not for now, anyway. Let's get that obsidian hooked up. You guys are going to want to chop some trees down. Start chopping trees down. So archers can just chill there. And we're basically the Mycenaeans because I got that event for the extra 25 XP in this this particular Neolithic that I did, which is pretty good. Let's get that Maker's Core out a little bit faster. You're going to want to attach Elkarud. Let's go clear those ruins out. You are going to want that and that. You don't really need the lumberyard actually, it's not a great spot for you. Go chop that forest out. And Ace is going to get its 4 archers. Hattusa's working on Gigir. You can go and build a barracks before you start investing heavily in Gigir, but it's not strictly necessary. As long as you can build them in 2 turns, it's fine. You don't need to worry too much about getting them any faster than that. Yeah, we've got our first Gigir, we'll get our second one out. And then I can start disbanding a few scouts, probably these 2. Trade with the Nubians, sure. They have more saffron, can buy their horses as well. And we're probably going to go kill green because they're right there. And they are asking for it by being next to us. Right, those 2 scouts can disband, get 2 more Gigir. Nasa can build another archer. And then we have ourselves a great stack of units to go and murder our neighbors with. Which is, of course, ideal. Murdering our neighbors is an ideal state to be in. Right, it actually wants me to build that there instead. Interesting. I'd like to get that hooked up with food. So maybe I'll turn that into a farmer's quarter. And then build that into a maker's. Because it'll still get that industry there, which is not bad. You guys can start disbanding into NASA for the population. Because again, we don't really need scouts anymore. I'm still going to have like 1 scout run around and chop things. But now we can kind of focus entirely on just getting our army ready. I haven't been able to use the Awari because I kind of got all my places attached, but that's fine. We've got wheel, I can move my units around. We have such a good Neolithic that honestly, we don't need to use the Awari to spawn units on anyone's borders for like a timing kind of thing, because we're going to have 4 Gigir. And that's the plus regarding the Hittites, is that you can... They can play as a bit more of a late militarist for the era. You don't have to rush people as much, which I think a lot of people enjoy, not having to be so quick. Yeah, sure, I'll ally the Nubians, why not? Sounds great. Having an ally this early on is never a bad thing, especially when it's the merchant culture of the era. Right, you need to get your stuff hooked up, particularly a harbour. We'll go get a harbour up there.
Construct and launch the vessels of the Empire. Time to stock up on champagne bottles.
You can go for a 5 harbour there, is fine. Buy out that Maker's Quarter. Got our 4 archers we can start bringing over. You're in my borders, I don't really like that. Get you to chop that up. You're chopping that. This needs to get attached in a few turns. Non-aggression, refuse. You're the ones that are going to get murdered. So yeah, as I've said in a few of my tutorial videos now, there's a recent kind of mod that's come out. It's the it basically allows you to configure how many stars you need to age up. I'm currently playing with 11 to age up, which seems like a good number to work with. Does seem like a pretty good number to work with. Forcing them to surrender to the Nubians. I don't know what that will entail as a whole, but let's bring those Gigir up as well. Nasa can't support more pops, that's fine. Hattusa can. Or can Harakanga? Harakanga can support one more pop. We'll disband a dude into there. And then they can come over to Hattusa. No, I'll probably end up murdering you as well. Or I would if I was going to play this long term. So yeah, just a bit of chopping, building up, getting your armies ready. The sort of thing you would do with most other cultures, just with the Hittites. Again, they can afford to be a little bit more, not passive, but they can definitely afford the time to do some setup. It's a bit of a luxury the Hittites have, especially since their units are so powerful. Oh dear, a bunch of scouts. That's very unfortunate for them. Now they're just scouts, so I'm not worried about doing this particularly efficiently. Now these are warriors, and these need to die. The warriors need to die, scouts less so. There we go. Easy peasy, and there's the 2k points to age up. I'm obviously going to get a lot more as I kill our neighbour there, but you know, turn 43, it's not bad. We'll take Swift on our units. You guys can get disbanded into Hattusa. Get our science rolling again. I'm going to start popping people on industry though, since we don't really need the science as much. I only need 1 tech. No, we've got all our techs for the era, so yeah, I don't really need to focus on that at all anymore. Get a few more resources there, attach that for 180. And we're off to the races. I can even capture Ninawa. Probably would end up burning Ninawa to the ground most times. Let's go declare war on them. I have the war support, so. So yeah, this is kind of what you're expecting your early wars to end up looking like. It's rather sad for the very unfortunate AI that end up being on the receiving end of this. I can't really use the Gigir because these guys are sat in the walls, but that's fine. I have archers, and that's why you always want a stack of 4 archers. Just like the Assyrians, if you're going to use cavalry as like your main fighting force, you want to have a stack of 4 archers to go with them. Just to force people outside of the walls during a siege, or just more generally because archers are pretty good. Speaking of archers being pretty good, could I have 3 more? Because this city's losing population, and I'd like to start conscripting it into the army. Start getting this tile chopped out with these 2 scouts. We'll get another stack of 4 archers. Quite happy with that. There's leadership, so I can get that extra influence from having an additional city. We beat these guys surrendering. I can make them become a vassal. Let's do that. So they're broke. They have no money, no hope, no future. You get the idea. So easy vassal there. This is on a normal size map. If anyone feels like the map feels a little small, this is a normal size map, 50% land coverage continent. So there you go. If any of you are curious what the map type I play with on these kinds of tutorials, I feel like it's pretty standard. Nothing crazy, just pretty standard settings. Let's get a forge built, go for another maker's quarter, throw down the makers over there. It seems good. I'll get Nace's forge built quickly. Can we rush her to... I can rush archers out. I'll rush the farmer's quarter out there. Overproductive on 3 cities. Prosperous. Bountiful. Take prosperous. It's quite a lot of money there. Right, about turn 50 was what I'd aim for before I aged up. Now, the city cap's always worth more than that, even if you don't have emblematic quarters. So just take small counsel. Whilst you want to avoid liberty early on as the Hittites, you will probably want to flip into it eventually. Just early on, it's not relevant, so you can get the reduced industry cost for units, which has a much bigger impact on your game in general. Right, there you go. There's most of our stars. I could get the rest of our militarist stars by fighting the Mycenaeans there, and it wouldn't be that hard for us to do, given I have 8 archers and 4 gigir. So you can see my army's already pretty solid. No, I think we just declare war on them, actually. I think that's what we actually do. We just declare war on them. What have they got? A couple of pro-Makoi. Well, they want to attack us. So they are approaching me. I can leave the archers in there. I don't think that's necessarily a great idea. We'll let them take the... Let's move an archer up there. They don't have any spearmen, so Gigir would win this. And you know what? We'll show off the Gigir fighting a battle like this against Pro-Makoi. I think some people will be pleasantly, or hopefully pleasantly, surprised by the results. So they suppress them. They can go and hit those guys. And the suppression is a -5 to their strength, so archers on high ground will absolutely... This is Humankind difficulty Pro-Makoi. Like, these guys are no jokes. But they do lose to the Gigir once you get that suppression. And the Gigir are pretty tough anyway. Like, they're taking a lot of hits to kill. They're getting a lot of damage in. I can't suppress those guys because of the fortress, but can murder them. Can murder them. Get a suppression on those scout riders. Can try and finish off those leve as well. I didn't quite get the kill on them. That's fine. And those Pro-Makoi are now suppressed. Shoot those out. And this was only with the 4 archers. I've got another 4 archers on their way. But yeah, there's my Keaton captured, and that war's over too. You can finish games incredibly quickly on normal size maps. Like this anyway. I'll be able to attach that in a couple of turns. So yeah, we'll get everything attached. We'll get ourselves another vassal. I'll just sort that out, become a vassal. Thank you very much. There you go, 2 vassals. There we go, easy peasy. So there you go, there's the Hittites. I play them pretty much how I play most the militarist cultures. in the early era or in most eras. Just focus on getting homeland tenants, get troops, actually build troops. I think a lot of people don't realize you need like 8 troops as soon as you have organized warfare. Before organized warfare, there's no point having more than 4 troops. Once you have organized warfare, you need to go up to 8 or 12 troops to be competitive in battles. As long as you have a decent front line, you can go for a 6-6 split of archers to other things. The reason for going quite hard on archers is that they are only 1 upkeep. So as long as your population is decently sized, you can just keep spitting archers out. There's absolutely you can do that in the classical era as well because they're so cheap. There's absolutely no issue with massing just loads and loads of archers as long as your population can support it. But you still want to get those better units, and the Gigir do a fantastic job. But these guys will actually fight spearmen just fine. If you get a couple of homeland tenants, so if I go for army wages and I pick up the final homeland tenant, you'll see that the Gigir are up to 26 strength. Yeah, veterancy +1, +1 from lust for war, 2 from ideology, -1 from the fact they're wounded. But if they weren't wounded, they'd be up to 27 strength. A spearman on humankind is 20 strength base, I believe, for the AI. Yeah, 20 strength base with a +8 for anti-cav, which brings them up to 28 versus 27. The Gigir don't do that bad, and because they suppress the spearmen, multiple Gigir will actually win. Though it's not cost efficient. The spearmen only cost 63 industry with the Gigir at twice that. But it's it's the same population cost. The Gigir don't cost 2 pop; they only cost 1, so you're not losing out if you fight battles like that. So you can pretty happily train those guys. They're kind of like the Cho chariots in that you can quite happily train them in classical, and they'll do a decent job against most things. Once you've suppressed the target, the archers will tear it up pretty fast. Especially once you get your tenants, and the archers are up to 21 strength. Lust for war +1 and 2 from ideology is already a +3, so up to 20. If you -5 a unit with suppression, the archers are probably going to be firing at positive as long as they have a clean line of sight. So yeah, don't underestimate the Giga. I think that's one of the reasons why the Hittites get that B slot, because if they had a weaker emblematic, they'd probably only be a C tier. But because they have a pretty decent, a pretty solid emblematic unit, I think people really underestimate how much work it can get done, even in classical era as well. So there you go. That's the Hittites. So that's how, generally speaking, I play them. I know a lot of some people said that the tutorials are more like me playing the Civ, and I think with the ancient era, it's about the only time I can play the Civ out because it is the initial stages of the game, showing up how I build up different civilizations, how I focus, and generally how I play the game. And the faster you get your snowball going, because that's what the game boils down to, is how fast you can get your snowball going. And I think letting people see how I play the early game, which is often the hardest part of 4X, and it is in Humankind as well, it is the hardest stage of the game. It's when there's the most uncertainties about your position. I think playing through the ancient era is the most important time that I will be playing through with these tutorials. When I do more, I guess, culture overviews, they're going to be more like overviews in the later era cultures, because I'm not going to play through 150 turns in 7 or 8 different scenarios just to get a culture so I can talk about it and play through an era with that culture. I'll be more doing overviews for later era cultures, but for the ancient era, I like to be a little bit more in depth. I might even do it for classical era cultures as well, but that might be a bit of a stretch. We'll see. But that's the Hittites. A bit over half an hour, but most of these tutorials end up being about 40 minutes, just because you gotta get your score up. You gotta get your score up. Right, guys. I hope you enjoyed. It's been me, Chef Command Coffee. Thanks for watching. There is a link in the description for my Twitch live channel. There's also a link there for the mod that lets you configure the stars for eras. I quite like it. We're 48 turns in, got a good score to age up, and I can actually pick everything. Look at that, it's crazy. Well, I can't pick the Huns, they already got picked, but so like the AI is able to get the stars, you know. It's just it kind of forces the AI to sit in an era for a little bit longer on larger maps, especially. I think that's important. Um, I don't know how well that's going to work out on smaller maps. On smaller maps, you might want to, you know, let the AI age up with less stars. But yeah. All right, guys. I'll see you around for the next episode. The final tutorial for the ancient era being Egypt. Goodbye for now.